Hey folks, it's time for the quote of the day, and I'm not going to lie about this. I'm going to be very honest. I don't really want to do this video. Not the one you're going to hear, not the one you're going to see. I would much rather be talking about Dolly Parton today. But I am still trying to do things on a birthday, and I'm not gonna lie. I thought, well, this is it. I'm gonna do a quote of the day for Dolly Parton because I want to honor her. I want to talk about her. I want to think about her. I have cried already today. It hurts me deeply, and not even the music part of it necessarily for me, but the just the person that she was. I like I said in my tribute video to her. You're going to go years hearing stories of how she affected people, how she changed people's lives, and I think that when you understand that, like the effect that she had, it's just too profound. Now, again, the sun's getting ready to go down behind me. I literally waited to the last minute because I was racking my brain trying to think about what I could talk about, who I could talk about, who had a birthday today. And then I remembered a quote from the gentleman that I'm quoting today, and it seemed like it fit just perfectly. It was like, wow, okay, well, I'm just stupid. I'm waiting this long, for, kind of hemming and hawing about it without thinking about it. Today we're going to be quoting perhaps one of the most influential and important composers, conductors, and musical educators of all time, and that is Leonard Bernstein, or Bernstein. I'm not sure how you say his last name. I think it's Bernstein. Some people have heard it say Leonard Bernstein, but I think it's Bernstein. Um, Leonard Bernstein is, I mean, one of the most famed composers there is, right? I mean, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head in modern history. Obviously, there's the older people, right? The ancient people, but he's not that. He didn't die that many years. It was like 30 years ago, but he is he is absolutely. Let me put it this way: if you're sitting here going, no, he's not that famous. I don't know anything about him. Have you ever heard of West Side Story? Yes. Okay. Well, then you know who Leonard Bernstein is. Like that's what he wrote. That's what he did. That's his claim to fame. That's one of the most famous. Now he wrote fucking a million things. He composed and conducted literally millions of things at this point in time, probably. But I mean, I don't know. It's probably more like in the tens of thousands. But still, you know, uh, I I don't know his entire career trajectory. I don't know everything about him as a person. I do know a little bit about his life. I do know that Bradley Cooper did a movie about him. But other than that, I just know West Side Story. And so when I recalled this quote, and I thought, well, this relates directly to Dolly Parton. This is what it's all about. And so I'm really going to give you two quotes because I wanted to kind of frame this in a way that people could understand how I'm drawing these parallels. First of all, both of them knew each other personally maybe, but they certainly appreciated each other. And they appreciated each other for a particular reason, and I think that it's very, very powerful. Like I said, he was an educator. They both believed in their hearts. I mean, you know this through everything you've ever read about him, everything you've ever seen about him, and the same with Dolly. They believed that music could change the world, right? Like their songs, their music, whatever it may be. Yeah, some of them were kind of poppy, some of them, maybe weren't on their own going to change the world, but they knew that somebody out there would hear it, and somewhere out there, somebody was going to be humming that song as they did something in their life that was going to change everything around them. That both of them believed very, very strongly in the idea that something that a lot of people know about or think about, but they don't necessarily speak about is this idea of kind of having a soundtrack to your life. They believed that their music that they were making would at some point in time be the music that people, had life altering moments with their music playing either in their own head or in the background somewhere, and that this would be that their voices, their music, their moments would be the background and the soundtrack to people's lives, and that sometimes they would be the energy, the very impetus behind that change. That is a powerful, powerful thing to recognize that in the moment and realize that from that point on, it didn't. And I'm not saying I'm on their level, but I understand it because it's the same kind of thinking I have here. I don't care necessarily about perfection. It's not about perfection. It's about getting, the voice, the message, the music, whatever it may be, out into the world because while it may not be perfect, it's going to be perfect for someone. It's going to change someone's life. It's going to affect someone. And that's what's important. They both understood this at a deep, deep, deep level. That's one of the reasons why Leonard Bernstein worked so hard to educate people. I mean, that's really where I kind of know a lot about him is through West Side Story and through he used to do specials, the Leonard Bernstein Hour, I think it was called, where he would just teach young children, not sometimes it'd be teenagers, but it would be younger people like 8 to 12-year-olds. He would teach them all about how to read music, what music meant, like why, music theory and things like that. He couldn't teach them how to play instruments through the TV, but he would try to, right? He'd be like, okay, well, this note does this and this note does this. And I remember watching those because I was a bit of a musician when I was a kid. And I remember watching them and just thinking, this dude is it's funny. I just had the memory while I was saying that. Like, I remember watching him at one point in time. I don't know, it was on PBS or something like that. And I remember watching him, and my impression of him was he loves music so much that he kind of forgets that the kid's there sometimes. Like he'll just get so wrapped up in what he's talking about that he'll forget, not in a bad way, right? Like just be enraptured, right? Like be just so in love with what he's talking about. Be so knowledgeable, but at the same time have that emotional connection to it that he didn't even have to really say anything. The people watching, the kids there that were in the studio or whatever, they kind of got it just because of how much he loved it, and he was able to convey that. And I think that's a really, really powerful thing. And Dolly did the same kind of stuff. Not at that level, not where she was an actual just educator, but there's without a doubt she was that kind of presence in a room. Now, I want to say this before I get to the two quotes I'm going to give. One of them is the quote of the day, and it's the one that reminded me of Dolly. But the other one is just how important music was to both of them and how much they believed it would change the world came a lot from their kind of politics. And I think that understanding these kind of politics, understanding how they arrive where they are, really does inform why they were the way they were. And so I found this quote while I was digging around, and I thought, wow, I'd never heard that before. I didn't know this about him. It makes complete sense, but I didn't know this about him. So I'm going to share this with you. Again, it's not the quote of the day, but I wanted to share this with you because I think that it's an important thing to understand. Leonard Bernstein was a liberal and was a proud liberal, and I thought that this was a beautiful definition of what a liberal is to him. He once said, "A liberal is a man or a woman or a child who looks forward to a better day, a more tranquil night, and a bright, infinite future." I thought that was a very powerful quote. When you think about who he was and the way that he wanted to use music to change the world, and kind of where he comes from and why he's renowned. Like he was the inspiration for multiple, probably hundreds of people becoming composers. The man changed the way that people heard and saw music all around the world. And I think that when you recognize that at his heart, that's how he saw things. He in a political sense, he was looking at things saying, there's going to be a better day and music's going to lead the way. Now, as far as the quote that reminds me of Dolly, we're going to go out on this because, well, the more I talk about it, the more upset I get. I don't know if you can tell my voice started to break a little bit here, but Leonard Bernstein once said, music can name the unnameable and communicate the unknowable. Music can name the unnameable and communicate the unknowable. A lot of music that Dolly put out, and even some of the music Bernstein put out, were popular, but that doesn't take away from the heart in them. And I think that the fact that they were able to communicate these things speaks volumes to how important they were. Happy birthday to Leonard Bernstein. And to the rest of you, please take care of yourself, take care of others. I'll talk to you soon.